this is what it looks like when Nika is preparing her space to draw on another piece. However, this is also what it looks like when it does not work out the way she wants it to, and she spends an hour or so looking for references, looking for fitting pictures, and just getting in the headspace and figuring out, well, now I sat down, now I have to draw. I specifically scheduled this time, but you're not feeling it. And so I sat there and I sat there and I sharpened my pencils. I picked up the correct page. I broke an egg because I thought it would be an amazing metaphorical beginning subject to draw for this series as introduction. But fate had a different plan for me and my art. You see, art has a character, personality, and life of its own. It doesn't come from you. The muse doesn't exist within you. It's something you tap into. At least that's how I perceive it. And this perfectly summarizes the point of introspective drawing. And we're going to talk about it. When's the perfect time to do it? Maybe some minute things I did not mention in the previous video. And generally, the art journey. Well, what went wrong with this piece? Answer simple. I'm not used to drawing while recording myself draw. Especially not in this format. I've recorded some videos when I'm doing it digitally. However, this is a completely different story because you set up the lights, you set up your workspace, you put it down, and at least for me, my setup is a bit uncomfortable to sit at. Usually such art happens to be drawn while I'm sitting in bed comfortably or with legs on the desk. And I don't have to record it. I don't have to pay attention that my head is not supposed to go into the camera, those small minute details. And a lot of the recent introspective drawings that I've done, they focused a lot on how I would be perceived, how will my voice be perceived, and whether I can even do quality videos, whether people dislike my accent and think it's weird, all sorts of things. And why am I telling this to you? So that you know that it's okay. This is what it looks like. You know, you feel a blockage. It's not working out for you. And then you even want to pressure yourself to draw. That's not how it works. Oftentimes we have some pent-up emotions that we do not want to address, and they absolutely do come out during the creation process. This is the time when we face ourselves. This is the time when we can no longer run away, which is why art is so vulnerable to so many people. So many people hide their art and never show it. For various reasons, I must admit. And why do we do that? Well, because it reflects a part of ourselves that we might not want to share. Because of how personal it is. And when we create, we have to face ourselves with this fear of having an image in our head, having a fantasy of what life should look like. In this case, what should the drawing look like? But maybe our skills are not good enough yet. And then we have to constantly look at it, how it's not exactly what we wanted. It's not exactly how we imagined it to be. We cannot transfer our will one-to-one into reality. Think about it. Now, to get into the specifics of how to do introspective drawings, how I do it. First of all, it's recommended to do it in one sitting. You just sit down, you put everything onto paper, and then you're done. Obviously, you can continue working on a piece later, but your state of mind will be a bit different. It's not necessary to just do it in one sitting, but it's certainly recommended. And I'll tell you why. The point is, you can run away. And when you sit down and force yourself to face these thoughts, to face yourself, you'll be much stronger by the end of it. The other point, I never listen or rarely ever listen to music or anything while doing these. It's becoming more and more a description of meditation, to be honest. There might be a reason for why psychologists, therapists use art as a therapy sometimes. So why no music? Because multiple reasons. When you're listening to other people's art while drawing, it's going to influence your art no matter what. Obviously, we live our lives and we constantly are witnessing different artists, we're listening to different music, films. It is all within us. It all influences us, but this time that you schedule, that you dedicate, is supposed to reflect you and be focused on you solely. And when you're putting a third party into the equation, then it just ruins the point, doesn't it? However, if you're feeling less inspired, it might be a good start. Sometimes I do listen to music while doing introspective art. However, soon, like 5 minutes into it, I notice that it's not working out for me and I just turn it off. And I don't think I know that many people who draw in absolute silence. Now, the other reason for it is if you're listening to music, you're not listening to yourself. You're not listening to your thoughts. You're not listening to your environment or your body. So when you're drawing, you'll be confronted with a thought, for example, damn, that piece looks shitty. And I'm recording myself, and people are going to see how bad it is. Now, the third rule is don't stop. You have these thoughts, but you don't stop. And you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. And you just don't care what the thoughts are saying. And that's the exact point. You just don't care. You do it anyways. Because that's not the point. And I hope you're already getting something out of it. Maybe you'll try it yourself. I hope you do. Practically speaking, also best not to be distracted by anyone. If you have a quiet room, quiet environment, maybe a library. It's also okay to cry. Sometimes it's a nice touch for the memory to have 1 or 2 drops of tears on the paper, but maybe that's just me. Another important, a bit a different subject that I want to talk about. When's the perfect time to do this in your artistic journey? It's not just the practical aspect. Why do you even want to do this in the first place? Like, yeah, sure, introspection, but who cares? Like, I'd rather spend my time doing fan art and doing comics or whatever it is you're doing. Why? You know, I don't have enough time. I need to develop my style. So I think that a lot of artists go through a similar life cycle. At first, we're innocent children, and usually that's when the fun starts. We're just drawing because every kid draws. Any silly sketches, smileys that the parents hang onto the fridge. We were not thinking about anything. We're just enjoying the time and enjoying the process. And at some point, maybe you're more talented and you start getting compliments and you start liking what you're doing and you want to continue getting compliments. Or maybe you want to continue drawing your favorite characters from favorite shows and movies, or your plants, whatever it is. That's when we develop a proper interest as our personality grows. So we're growing. It's the natural process of growth and development. And then it hits us. Hold on. There is this guy or girl who's much better at art than I am. I want to do that too. And that's when the dedicated, productive studying begins and continues. And it can continue for decades, and it will continue for decades if you decide so. However, in this process, at some point, you might lose the initial spark that you had as a kid. Why did you even start drawing? What was it again? You just continue doing one course and then another course, or maybe reading books, or maybe you're just doing studies from references, and then you forget, wait, why am I doing this? Why do I like art? I don't know. You ask yourself. And introspective drawing is great for this specific stage in your journey. And to be honest, after a certain point, the steps are not as clear. They become all chaotic. I'm sure you're aware of the 5 stages of grief. But in reality, nothing works that way, does it? We accept some part, and then we deny the other one. And then we accept it again. But then we go back into anger because we cannot accept it. The same with anything, really. And the last point is, don't draw in your sketchbook. Because drawing in your sketchbook means pressure. Pressure to perform. Pressure to draw something as amazing as all of the other drawings right there. You don't want that. Oftentimes, the drawing will come out crappy. But when we have the courage to draw crappy things, that's when we can create masterpieces. I hope you enjoyed another crappy drawing of mine. See you in the next one.